Jason, we wanted to talk to you a little bit more about trade and your concerns there. This is something that your group has singled out as an area of priority and of concern. The Biden administration has put a lot of pressure, in particular, on China, but that has a ripple effect. Talk about that a little bit.
What we're really looking for and enthusiastically looking for from the Trump administration is more of a strategy that takes advantage of opportunities for U.S. companies to succeed internationally. Leadership in technology, that's what the U.S. is known for. And what we've seen in the Biden administration, unfortunately, is a lack of strategy, an inability to match the significant and serious national security interests with economic activity that promotes U.S. opportunities internationally. So on trade, our excitement and enthusiasm about the Trump administration is they're very focused on working in partnership to address the China question. And we've seen the president-elect already talk to President Xi about the strategy for dealing with that, about moving forward, working together. What we want to make sure happens. U.S. technology leadership continues. The economic driver of the U.S. economy is technology, so we can make sure that trade becomes a real opportunity for further growth.
Jason, do we not need, though, acts like a potential banning of a significant social media app that touches 170 million users to ensure national security? That was bipartisan in nature. And yes, Trump might come in and have a conversation with Xi about it. But ultimately, this was bipartisan in nature because of national security concerns.
The TikTok news of the day is, of course, very interesting, and 170 million people are watching the outcome there. I don't have any prediction about what's going to happen on Monday at noon when President-elect Trump takes over. But it does highlight how really difficult these issues are to address. And the larger question of how we address the China issue, I think, is one that requires a real strategy. And what we're looking forward to, what the tech industry is looking forward to in the Trump administration, is he does seem to have more of a focus on making this a strategic approach rather than just a one-off approach. For example, we saw earlier this week the Biden administration adopted rules around AI diffusion. So these are rules that restrict the ability of U.S. companies to export AI technology, including to allied countries around the world. That's a huge mistake. It wasn't done in consultation with industry. We think the Trump administration will do a better job with that kind of issue. But that's an example of the need to balance national security with economic interests and make sure that U.S. leadership is not harmed by skewing too far in one direction or the other. That's what we're looking forward to seeing done differently in the Trump administration.
And certainly Jensen Huang of NVIDIA maybe feels similarly, and NVIDIA pushed back significantly against that latest announcement. But what is interesting is that perhaps J.D. Vance has supported, well, some views coming from Lina Khan, for example, about some of the strength and the overall domination, some would say, of certain players in tech. Just listen to what Lina Khan said, a little bit about the bipartisan nature of that.
There's no doubt that there is strong bipartisan concern about the economic power of large technology companies and how that can undermine fair competition, undermine people's free speech rights. And so we'll, of course, have to see what the next administration does. But it's certainly been an area of strong bipartisan concern during my tenure.
The FTC chair has some support, as I say, from Vice President-elect. Will you see an enthusiasm around future M&A in technology, do you think?
Well, Lina Khan has about 72 hours left on the job, and the person that the president-elect has designated to replace her has taken a much more balanced approach, and we think a more favorable approach to advancing U.S. innovation. Look, the president himself is a technology innovator. He is surrounding himself by technology innovators who are coming into office, people who will be serving in crucial roles that understand the vital role that the U.S. technology industry plays in economic growth. As far as trade and export around technology, for example, we run a $300 billion surplus in the U.S. on digital trade. That's exports of U.S. technology around the world. So I think as long as we can place regulators, as the president-elect is looking to do, who are willing to listen to industry and make sure that balance is struck between national security and economic growth, I think we'll be in a much better place for the next 4 years to ensure that the technology industry can work in partnership with government to advance economic growth.